Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lily Makes Stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Peacock crossbody sling bag. Yes, that is a mouthful. And it is going to be a fairly easy one for beginners to make. There's not a whole lot of stitches in it. It's the single crochet in the front loop only, and a chain and slip stitching, and that is about it. So if none of that is familiar to you, I do have some other instructional videos on the basics of how to crochet, and that should be in there. The single crochet front loop only is not specifically in there, but how to do a single crochet is, and then the front loop is you just go in the front loop, which I will show you as we go along. On my website, I do have a printable PDF version. If you want the ad-free version, it's for purchase, and the free version is also on there, but it won't be a PDF. The website is www.lelemakesstuff.com, and there will be a link in the description below. So today what you're going to need is two different types of yarn. For the bag part, I used this Karen Jumbo multi-print. It is in the color of Peacock, and it's a size 4, and it calls for a 5mm crochet hook, and I used about 180 yards. In this whole skein there is 595 yards, so I had lots of leftover. And then for the strap, I used this cotton, which is from Peaches and Cream. It's also a size 4, 5mm, it calls for 5mm hook. It's 100% cotton. I used it because it has a little less stretch for the strap than the acrylic does. And you're going to need, well, you don't actually have to have a measuring tape. It's just easier to figure out your measurements for the strap, and always stitch markers, a yarn needle, a button. For my project, I actually used a button that has bigger holes that my yarn needle can go through, but you don't have to use one like that. You can use a regular button, and then you have to use regular thread to just sew it on. And scissors and a 5mm crochet hook. Okay. So that is everything you will need, and if you like what you see, please remember to subscribe to my channel and visit my website, lelemakesstuff.com, and let's get started. Okay, let's start with a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 11. And if you don't know how to chain or to do any of these stitches, I do have some other instructional videos that I can put in the description below for you to familiarize yourself with the stitches. So here's 5, 10, 11. Okay, so we're going to be working into the second chain from the hook, single crochet, and this would be row 1. And you're going to go all the way across the chain, doing single crochets. I'll try and slow this down so you can see a single crochet. And you're going to go to the next to last stitch, which is this one right here, and you're going to put 2 single crochets into that one stitch, and that's called an increase. And then 1 single crochet into the last. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to increase every row, and the way you know, we're only going to do the increases on one side. So the side that has the tail is the side we're doing the increases on. The side doesn't have a tail, no increases. So on row 1, we have a total of 11 stitches. And so now we're going to do row 2. So chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to work these single crochets into the front loop only. So the stitches that you just did creates this V. And this is considered the front loop of the V because it's facing you. This is the back loop of the V. And so we're going to work these single crochets in only the front loop. And you are going to work the very first stitch. And this is the side that, remember, we're doing the increases on because we've got the tail. And so we do the first stitch with a single crochet, and then in the second stitch in we do the increase. We do the 2 single crochets into the same stitch on row 3. And then we work back across. I'm sorry, this, I said row 3, but this is actually row 2. So, getting close to our next to last stitch, which is this one. And we will not do an increase on this end because it's not the one with the tail. So we should have a total of 12 stitches. So 5 and then 2, so 10, 12. All right, so we're chain 1, turn. This is row 3. And we are working into the front loop only, single crochets, okay, our next to last stitch, working 2 crochets, increases, and then the last stitch, 1. So this is row 3, we should have 13. Here's 5, 10, 13. Okay, and we're going to chain 1 and turn. And it is helpful to put in stitch markers at the ends so that you know that you're at the end. It's my cow. He's wanting to join in. Okay. All right, so single crochets. This is row 4, and we are repeating rows 2 and 3 from here on out until we reach row 18. And at row 18, we should have 28 stitches. And when I get a little further along, I'm going to show you a really cool thing that working in the front loop, the pattern it makes, and it's easier to count your rows. Okay. Oh, I did an increase and I shouldn't have. Okay. I missed an increase down here on row 4. So we are starting row 5, chaining and turning, single crochets into the front loop. So row 5 is a repeat of row 3. Alright, and those stitch markers are a good reminder of where the next to last stitch is. So on row 5 we'll do our increase and then the last stitch, single crochet, and we should have 15. So 5, 10, 15. Yeah. So again, you are repeating rows 2 and 3 until you get to row 18. And as soon as I put this in, so when you work in the front loop, it creates these cool little ridges, and in between each of those ridges is 2 rows. So this is 2, this is 4, 5, and then I'll soon have 6. So I will meet back up with you at row 18. Okay, so I just finished row 18. And remember, these little ridges count as 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And I should have 28 stitches. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. Okay, so for piece A, which is the front top, we're going to cut and fasten off. Okay, and there's our first piece. So for the second piece, you're literally just going to start completely over at row 1 and work all the way through row 18. It's exactly the same. Here's my beginning of piece B. Okay, and so for piece B, you work rows 1 through 18 exactly the same way as you did for piece A, and then for the next 20 rows you do no increases. So you are just going to work chain 1, single crochets in the front loop all the way across, no increases. Okay, so this would normally be the side where you would next to last increase, but we're not doing that. We're just continuing. 1 single crochet in the front loop for every stitch. So at the end, we should have 28. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26. Okay, so starting at row 19, because we just finished 18, we are going to chain 1, turn, and do single crochets into the front loop all the way across, 28 stitches. Okay, this is normally near the end where you would, next to last stitch, do an increase, but we're not doing that. We're just keep going, single crochets in the front loop. Okay, but should still have 28. 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. Okay, so for the next 19 rows, because this was the beginning of the 20, so this was row 18. Let me show you this way, it's a little bit less confusing. This was row 18, and we just did 19, and we're going to do 19 more, so you will end at row 39, because 18 plus 20, oh, sorry, 38. I can't do math. So the middle section where you don't do any increases is a total of 20 rows. Okay, I just finished row 38. My math should be right this time. And we have 28 stitches in row 38. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. Okay. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which if you count by twos is 20. Starting from here up, this is the middle section. So I have just finished the front bottom half. Looks like this. Okay, and so we are going to cut. I am simulating cutting, and then we will fasten off, pull this through, okay, and that will be the end of piece B, or the middle section. And then I'm going to continue from row 38 on to 56. Row 56, that will be the last row of the back piece. So we are going to start at row 39 and go to another 18 rows, which is basically just an opposite of the first 18 rows. The first 18 rows we increased, and the last 18 rows we're going to decrease. So we're going to chain 1, turn, front loop, single crochet across, and this time it won't be the next to last, it will be the third to last, because we will do a decrease. Okay, we're nearing the end of row 39, and this is going to be, there's the last, next to last, third to last. So third to last, we will go in the front loop, pull up a loop, go into the next to last, pull up a loop, and then pull through the last 2 stitches. And in the very last, we will do a front loop single crochet. So we have just decreased. So instead of 28, we should have 27. So here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26, 27. Okay, so just like we were increasing the first 18 rows, we are going to be decreasing the last 18 rows. So every row will be 1 less. Okay, so technically this is row 39, and we have 27 stitches. Okay, and we will chain 1 and turn, and this is row 40, and we will, for the first stitch, we will do a single crochet in the front loop, and then we'll do a decrease. So this is the next to last. We will go through the front loop, grab some yarn, go through the third stitch, grab some yarn, pull all the way through those 2 loops. Okay, so we have just joined 2 stitches with 1, and then we will, the rest of the way back down, do single crochets into the front loop. So row 40, we should have 26 stitches at the end. Okay, this is the end of row 40, and we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26 stitches. Okay, so I don't know why, but decreases always seem a bit more confusing. So I'm going to repeat rows 39 and 40 again for you a little bit slower. I mean, technically this will be rows 41 and 42, but we're going to repeat rows 39 and 40 until we have a total of 18. Okay, so chain 1, turn, front loop, single crochet all the way across till we get to the side where we're going to decrease, which is still the side that has the tail. Okay, so here's all my stitch markers. This is the stitch marker that is showing the last stitch of the last row, and we are 3 stitches till the end. Okay, so here's 1 right here, here's 2, and here's 3. Okay, so in the 3rd from the end, front loop, we go through that stitch, yarn over, pull through. 2nd from the end, we go through that stitch, yarn over, and then pull through the 2 loops that were on our hook. Okay, and that is our decrease. We basically took stitch 3 and 2 and combined them to 1, and this is the last stitch of the row, and we just do a normal front loop, single crochet. Okay, and then we will chain 1 and turn, and technically this is row 42 or a repeat of row 41, and in the first stitch of the row we do a single crochet, and now we do the decrease. Okay, so 2nd stitch, we go through, we yarn over, pull through. 3rd stitch, we go through the stitch, yarn over, and then we pull through the 2 that are on our hook, and then we just combined stitch 2 and 3 into 1, and then we work our way back across this row in front loop single crochets, and that will be row 42, and at the end of row 42 we should have 24 stitches, and now we'll meet you back there and we'll verify that we have 24 stitches. Okay, here's the end of row 42, last stitch. Okay, and let's verify that we have 24 stitches. So here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 24. Okay, and then you will just repeat rows 39 and 40 until you have a total of 18, which right now there's 2, there's 4, and then we're going to do 18 more. Sorry, my math is again off. A total of 18. So we have 4, and then there will be another 14 rows. And again, total of 18 of the decreased rows. Okay, we have reached row 56, and we are down to 10 stitches. Here's 5, 10, and we will fasten off. And then put together the bag pieces. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you the 3 pieces the best I can. I kind of turn them sideways. And so this is the back piece, okay? And this is the top front piece. And it's going to line up matching right here. This is the bottom front piece matching right here. Okay, and you can use your stitch markers to match them, line them up together. because now we are going to put them together as one piece. Okay. And if you have not fastened off on the back piece at the top here, which I did and shouldn't have, we're going to join a piece here and then work along the edge to join all these pieces together. Okay. I have all the corners fastened together except this one, which is where we're going to start. Okay, so this is fastened together. Everything should match, line up pretty much perfectly. Bottom of the top, top at the bottom, corner here, and then the two corners down here. Okay, and that's just, I haven't joined those two together, but it's not a corner. Okay, and then these two, all these ends we will weave in at the end. Okay, and these line up. Okay, and so we will start joining these two corners right here. Okay, so technically this is my working string that should have never gotten cut, and I'm going to join together the string that we're going to use to join them, and I'm going to make a knot here so that they are joined, and we will weave these in at the end. Okay, so I'm going into the corner opposite my working string, pull a loop through, and then slip stitch. Okay, there's my knot, and then we will go into the next stitch on both sides, grab my yarn, and normally when I pull them through both sides, I don't normally do a slip stitch, but I want to give myself just a little more leeway, so I'm going to slip stitch after I pull them through. So I go through the stitch on one side, stitch on the other side, grab yarn, pull it through, slip stitch. Yarn on this side, yarn on that side, pull through, okay, there we go, slip stitch. Okay, next stitch, pull through both sides. Sometimes it's hard to get through both sides, so it doubles up. First side, second side. Let me do it this way. Pull through, slip stitch. Okay, and this is what we're going to do all the way around. Here's the corner of one side, corner of the back side, pull through. I know this is kind of confusing with all the tails. And slip stitch. Okay, So we are going to continue working all the way back around to right here. Cow is watching over me. So these slanted sides don't have real even edges. So you're just going to have to work through kind of whatever stitches you decide and just stay consistent. And if you've used stitch markers to line everything up, it should work out just fine. Just as long as they stay even. So yeah, it's not pretty along these angled edges, but just do the best that you can. And wherever the top edge ends, you're going to begin the bottom, because they should literally match up perfectly. Okay. So now I'm on to the front bottom, continuing to do the same. Okay, so back to where we began, the corner. I'm gonna snip off piece, fasten off, and before we turn this inside out, let me just show you all the edges connected. I'm going to weave in these pieces. Okay. Weave in those pieces. Here is our opening front, and when we get all of those pieces weaved in, we will turn it inside out right here. Okay, so now I'm going to weave in all my little ends before we turn it inside out. So take and put your yarn through your needle, and you're going to just weave them in. Okay. Cow wants to help. On the longer pieces of string, if you have longer pieces of string and you feel like they're pretty secure, you don't have to do the entire length of this yarn. Okay, finish weaving in all your little tails, and then we will turn it inside out. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this inside out. Push all the corners out. Okay, so this is the bag piece. Okay. And now we will do the strap, and then we will finish this edge with a button. Obviously Cow doesn't care. He's my prop. Before we put the button on, I'm kind of made a mark of where middle is of both the top and the bottom. I started on this end, and kind of worked my way in. And this is the middle of the top, and this is the middle of the bottom. So we will eventually put the button here and then make the loop up there. So I'm going to put an edging on, and I'm going to join my string over here in the corner. Just pull a loop through, hold on to your tail there, and then slip stitch to kind of anchor it. And that does not count as a stitch, so I'm going to go back into that same hole because you can see it's still not quite anchored. And do a single crochet. Okay, and then as I'm going to work along the edge here in just the front loop, single crochets like we've been doing, and I'm going to weave. I'm going to get my tail in there so I don't have to weave it in later. And we're just going to go around the opening, finish it off a little bit nicer. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to do this all along this bottom edge. I'm gonna get to the corner, and I'm gonna start on the top edge, and I will meet you back there. Okay, so I've worked myself back to this corner, and when we turned this thing inside out, it kind of separated these edges. I cannot get rid of Cow today. I'm gonna have to go put him in the other room. He just really wants to be in this video. Okay. I know some of you probably would keep saying Cow, but he was really distracting. So, like I was saying, over here on the edges, when we flipped it inside out, it kind of made like these edges gap a little bit. So as I work into the corner, I'm going to try and close that up a little bit by kind of skipping. Okay, so now I'm technically on the top edge, and as we work around, let's see if I can make this so you can see it better. I'm just going to work on these outside loops. So I'm not going through the whole stitch like that. I'm just going to work on these outside loops. And we're still just doing single crochets. Now, when we get to the button, we're going to make a little loop, or excuse me, where the button hole should be, which is where I had marked the middle. We are going to, okay, so these two were the middle. So I'm going to chain 2, skip over those 2, and continue working single crochets on the other side of it. Okay, so that's going to make our little buttonhole. And we will continue to work around the top edge until we get back to the corner. Where we started. And again, on these corners, they got real spread apart when I flipped it inside out. So I'm going to try and, okay, here's the starting of our edging. This is technically the last stitch of the top, and I'm going to just kind of work one single crochet there and then join it with a slip stitch to the beginning. Okay, and I will fasten off and then weave in my little tail. And then this is what it should look like now. Okay, kind of that little edging just helped kind of close in the gap. So next we're going to put on the button on this bottom side. For the button, I'm going to do probably like a foot, 12 inches worth of string just to tie the button on. Okay, work it through my needle. All right, and here's our button. And this was the middle. So I am going to just pull. Okay, I want this end to stay there. There. Okay. So there's just one loop through there now. I'm going to do two just to secure it a little bit better, and then we will tie it off. Okay, so now I have my two ends. I'm going to knot it, and then I'm going to weave in these ends, and you can see this is our little buttonhole. There you go. And we'll get rid of those little stragglers, but that's what it looks like. Okay. Okay, starting at the top, back corner. This is the back, top corner. We're going to start our cotton yarn for the strap. And I'm going through 2 pieces of yarn and slip stitching. And that is not going to count as our first stitch. So we'll do one more. Single crochet. So there's one. And we're going to do 9 more. And work our tail back in. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Okay. 10. 10. 10 across the top. Okay. And then we will chain 1, turn, and work in the front loop 10 more across. Okay, and we will continue that pattern for the entire strap until it reaches the measurement that we want, which is from shoulder to opposite hip for each individual. So for me is 27 inches from my left shoulder to my right hip. And so we will chain 1, turn, and then work in the front loop, single crochet 10 across for 27 total inches. Cotton yarn definitely does not have near as much give, which is why I picked it for the strap. Okay, we'll meet you back when we have reached the end of our strap. All right, so I just finished the strap and it measured 27 inches, but I measured it stretched. This cotton yarn does not stretch as much as the acrylic, but it does stretch. And I really wanted my length to be exactly 27 stretched. So I had 57 rows that made 27 inches. So just a FYI. And now we're going to sew it onto the other end and make sure you don't have it twisted. Okay. And we're basically going to kind of do the same thing we did at the top. We're going to hook this in. Sorry. I'm gonna take out that chain 1. Okay, we're going to join the end here. Make sure when you're joining it, it's not crooked, it's not twisted. Sorry, not crooked. So what we're going to do is join kind of like we did all the other edges. So I'm going to work my hook through this bag end, pull my working yarn through it, okay, and slip stitch it. The rest of them we will not slip stitch. Then grab some more. I'm grabbing 2 pieces of yarn from the bag, and then you're going to grab your working yarn and pull it through both sides and just work your way down this edge. you basically are sandwiching the bag in to the straps. It's not always really easy. Okay. And we're only going in the top loop, back loop, one loop of the strap. Okay. Okay. All right, and we're just going to continue to do that until we reach the end. Okay, last stitch. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Going to cut it, fasten off, and then weave in the end. Sure nothing pulls loose. Okay, and that is the end. The bag is finished. Double check that you have all your stitch markers out, and that, here, let me see if I can raise up. So here's the front, what it looks like. And here's the back, what it looks like. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and remember, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel. I am hopefully going to be producing new videos every week, and if you if you enjoyed the presence of Cow in this video, there is a little bit more of him in the video that I made for his collar, if you want to see a little bit more of Cow. And on my website, I am going to be posting some videos of him soon too, which is lilymakestuff.com. It's kind of, the website is in its infancy still and needs to be built, but up more. But yeah, you hopefully will see some videos on there. Okay guys, thanks again.